The concept of the soulmate ends relationships. That is the topic of today's short talk. While it looks controversial at first glance, I hope to convince you that it is in fact true in the next 10 minutes or so, and that the downstream consequences of my reasoning might be useful in improving the quality of your current and future intimate relationships. Okay, welcome back to the ACS Mental Health Counseling YouTube channel. My name is Adam Schwartz, and I'm a licensed mental health counselor in New York, specializing in anxiety disorders, men's issues, and relationship coaching. My clinical orientation is heavily influenced by my background in philosophy and the social sciences broadly. If you find this video useful, then be sure to like, comment, and share with anyone who might benefit from it. This is my first video in what I hope to be a series dedicated to social skills, interpersonal dynamics, and intimate relationships. I'm also very slowly, adding to my series of videos on wellness tips, tricks, and hacks, and another series of psychoeducation videos. Check out all three playlists and derive what you can. I hope you find them useful. Unfortunately, the idea of a soulmate is a pervasive one. Human beings are narrative creatures, which is to say that we operate on well-delineated stories. These stories organize our lives. They help us make sense of ourselves, the outside world, and the proper interplay between the two. In fact, there's an entire psychotherapeutic lens devoted to this feature of our psyches. We call it narrative therapy. As such, we grow up listening to fairy tales, watching movies, and reading books, not so much anymore, coming away from these narratives with the idea that there is either a perfect single individual or at the very least a handful of individuals out there with whom, if we can just find them, we can have a perfectly amicable, perfectly stress-free, intimate relationship. While this is a lovely idea, and it might even have been the case for perhaps 5 or so relationships since the dawn of humanity, I don't think that it is true for most people most of the time. And our inability to recognize this has the effect of ending relationships that could be fantastically meaningful if given some work. And additionally, this idea has the consequence of robbing us both of the meaning and perhaps even more solidified bond that comes from putting in that collaborative work with another human being. Let's start with really laying out what a gargantuan task building a long-term intimate relationship is, because people often don't appreciate this. 2 human beings with completely different genetic profiles, hopefully, which is to say different temperaments on the personality level, combined with different life experiences, so differing values, tastes, interests, thoughts, perspectives, are going to try to collaborate day in and day out on the mutual project of building a unified life together. They're going to maintain a physical space that they are both happy with. They're going to build wealth and have a collective income and move towards retirement together. They're likely going to have children that they raise in a relatively unified way. They're going to build a friend group together with some overlap. They're going to manage each other's families of origin and extended families effectively. They're going to encourage each other to maintain some sense of each other's respective individuality and individual interests and hobbies, all while continuing to maintain physical and emotional intimacy and optimally continuing to enjoy each other's company. And they're going to maintain this project, at least with the expectation that it will last for decades. Now appreciate for just a minute how difficult a project that actually is. And now consider just how likely it is that's going to be smooth sailing from first date to death do us part. The chance of that is functionally 0. Now combine that 0% chance with the expectation that it should be 100% completely stress-free. That there is someone out there, especially for you, that if you can just find them, it will be completely stress-free. What might that do for a relationship? Don't you think it might end an awful lot of relationships as soon as they become at all difficult? That is why I say that the concept of a soulmate ends relationships, because it sets expectations at a completely unrealistic level. Now, to be clear, if you're in a relationship that is fundamentally not working as a result of incompatibility of values, personality factors, or interests, then it might not be salvageable no matter how much work you put in. As an aside, I'll be doing a future video on my compatibility hierarchy and how you can think about relationship compatibility. And also, if you are in a relationship that is truly toxic or abusive, then you should probably end your relationship. I happen to think those terms have become far too elastic these days and are frequently overused and misused, and that'll likely be another future video as well. But if there's any chance of making a once good relationship work that is sour due to some large life change affecting one or both partners, then perhaps actively working to understand and adjust for each other is well worth the effort. It will often be the case that working through a difficult time strengthens and enriches the relationship. You can test this by going to an old married couple that seem to have a contented marriage and asking them if they've ever struggled. In all likelihood, they will chuckle, look at each other knowingly, and then proceed to tell you about how their marriage almost ended, usually sometime in the first 10 years of its inception. So, my favorite British novelist, and there are a lot of good ones from which to choose, is Charles Dickens. And one of my favorite Dickens quotes goes as follows: "A wonderful fact to reflect upon, that every human creature is constituted to be that profound secret and mystery to every other." Now, with that beautifully antiquated Victorian phrasing in mind, my message to you today is this: when you are engaged in the project of building a life with another human being who fundamentally is and always will be something of a mystery to you, don't be surprised that it's difficult, and don't give up too quickly. Okay, that's all for today. All the best, and I'll see you in the next one.